30 years ago, some people got together and they initiated a social and economic experiment. They had this vision in common of money as a tool for creating a new and more sustainable and human society where profit was not the primary goal. They gathered some capital, found some projects that needed financing, and started a lending and savings cooperative. And about 10 years later, they managed to get a banking license. It wasn't easy, but they managed. And they founded Cultura Bank, which is an independent Norwegian savings bank. And the year after, that's almost 20 years ago, I, a traditionally educated economist, I got this crazy idea to leave my secure job as a researcher. I was studying the social security system and apply for a job in this new little bank with only 4 co-workers and 1 small office in Oslo. Instead of working with abstract theoretical models, I wanted to be closer to where things were happening in real life. Doing, not talking. And I must also say that I never regretted and I never looked back. And it has been my pleasure to see the bank grow and flourish through these 20 years and finally receive official appreciation, being at the top of the Norwegian Fair Finance Guide, both in 2016 and 2017. And 2016 was the first year we had it in Norway. If you are interested in sports, any interested in sports? No, nobody? I just wanted to see if you were listening. If you're interested in sports, you know that Norwegians, they get very competitive if they get a chance to beat the Swedes. And we were really very, very satisfied with our 97%, until we discovered that our Swedish cousin Ekobanken, they got 99% at the Fair Finance Guide in Sweden. So we'll have to see what we can do about that. I studied economics at the University of Oslo, where I learned the traditional basic economic theories and models where consumers maximize their utility and businesses maximize their profits. When I first came to work at Cultura Bank, I gradually came to understand that these theories, they were too simple. They could not help me understand why some people voluntarily would choose to get 0 interest on their savings account when they could get more. And it was equally difficult to understand why the bank wasn't focused on maximizing its profit. I understood there had to be some other values somewhere than those that could easily be expressed in money. In my opinion, Cultura Bank represents a genuine alternative to the other banks. That is because we are running a bank based on a completely different mindset than all the other banks. And these are our priorities. Our first and foremost purpose is to finance projects in the real economy that are beneficial for people and planet. So the sustainability goals, they are deeply embedded at the core of our business model. Our second purpose is to inspire people to think more consciously about the consequences of how they spend and invest their money. We publish a magazine, Pengevirke. I want to show you. Pengevirke. You can get it at our stand outside. Where we focus on projects that have a positive impact in society. There are lots of other magazines that focus on the problems. We have decided to focus on the positive things that happen. And for this audience, I'd like to particularly mention the series of articles about from Professor Ove Jacobsen. In each issue, he is introducing a new economist. And you may read the magazine for free at our website, and there you also find all the articles from Professor O. Jacobsen. In Cultura Bank, we do not aim to maximize our profit, but we do want to have a moderate profit, to be able to give our owners a moderate return on their investments, and to assure that we will be able to stay in business. And that is kind of an important keyword for how we run our bank. Moderation of the voluntary kind. It goes for all involved parties, the co-workers, the customers, the owners. Another difference, and maybe the most visible difference between Cultura Bank and the other banks in Norway, is our policy of transparency. We think it is important that our customers should know where their money goes. And that is why we ask all our business customers to give us permission to publish their names. So at our website, you'll find information about the current projects that have been financed by Cultura Bank. As far as I know, we are the only bank in Norway that does this. And that is important because it gives the people that have trusted us to take care of their money a unique opportunity to evaluate our work. A typical project could be an organic farm, a Waldorf school, an NGO, local craft businesses, social startups, green housing. We try to stimulate green housing by offering lower interest rates for sustainable housing projects. And here's an example of an active house from Hurdal Øko-village. I cannot guarantee that we have financed this particular house, but we have financed several houses of this kind. And one of my colleagues took the photo. We had the banking meeting at Hurdal last year. I also want to mention that as a supplement to our lending, we recently started a crowdfunding site, Cultura Flock. And if you don't know it, flock means crowd. And one of our customers has come up with a really cool project that will be launched at June 10th. Norwegians drink very much coffee. 7 out of 10 Norwegians, they drink coffee every day. And that makes about 12.8 million cups of coffee every day. And this creates a lot of waste in the form of coffee grounds. Siri Mittet, with her company Gruten, has for several years been experimenting with different uses of coffee grounds. Now she's starting an oyster mushroom farm where she's planning to use 2 tons of coffee grounds per month. All will be transported by electric bike. That's kind of cool, huh? The project will be partly crowdfunded at Cultura Flock, and it is reward-based. So you can get as reward a grow your own mushrooms package to grow oyster mushrooms at home with your own coffee grounds. So look at Cultura Flock about 10th of June, and you have the chance to grow your own mushrooms. Even if we are the only bank in Norway that practices transparency, internationally we are not alone. Do you know the story about the ugly duckling from H.C. Andersen? I think you know. The duckling, that was really a swan. There's something there about this story. I will not say that the other Norwegian banks regard us as an ugly duckling. That would be too strong. But I think some may regard us as a bit odd, not quite like them. They do not really understand our business model, even if they give us a friendly smile. But when we joined the Global Alliance for Banking on Values, it was like coming home to the other swans. Global Alliance for Banking on Values, GABV for short, is an international organization with 49 members with banking licenses from almost all over the world. And there are 3 Scandinavian members. It's Cultura Bank in Norway, Ecobanken in Sweden, and Andelskassen Merkur in Denmark. Not only did GABV understand what we were trying to do, but they have done a great job of identifying and putting into words the underlying principles that the value-based banks have in common. There you can see the triple bottom line, the real economy, the transparency, the long-term orientation, and the closeness, the close relations to the clients. No robots. And the most important thing is that all of these principles, they should be embedded into the bank's culture. It's not something extra you do, it's what you do. As an instrument for screening new members and for yearly self-assessment for existing members, GABV has created a scorecard which comprises both quantitative and qualitative elements. And some important quantitative measurements are the percent of loans that qualify as triple bottom line projects with social, environmental, and economic benefits. And another important number is the percent of the bank's income that comes from the real economy. And this closeness to the real economy, that's a really important characteristic of our kind of banks. The scorecard tool is still under development, but if you are interested to see how it works, some of the actual scorecards with real data are published at the GABV website. I think the signs are many that our current state of the economy is bringing us closer to a point where it will be too late to turn the tide. And something must change, and it will impact us all, as you all know. So we cannot continue to destroy the environment, deplete nature's resources, and inflate financial bubbles out of greed. We all have to decide in our personal lives if we will try to become a part of the solution by making better and more sustainable choices, or if we just close our eyes, continue as before, and hope that the problems somehow will disappear. Well, they won't. On behalf of Cultura Bank, I can say that we really want to be a part of the necessary change, and we will be very happy to see the other banks follow our example. The banking sector plays an extremely important part in shaping the future, as the banks decide which projects that get financed. So I will encourage you all to demand more transparency from the financial sector. Get your banks to show you where your money goes, and tell them what you think about it. And if you're not satisfied, move your money to another bank. As for the vision for the future of Cultura Bank, you see our logo. Yeah. It's based on the shape of the dandelion seed. And I will use that as a metaphor for the bank and our work. It's resilient, regarded as a nuisance by some, loved by others, full of life force, and it spreads very easily from one neighbor to another. And I tried to write something about this, but sometimes a picture can say more than 1,000 words. Thank you.